which Premier League teams are going to finish in the European places at the end of the season. As you can see, it is wide open. Anyone can make it. So today we are going to discuss it. Be sure to share your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure to drop a like on this video. We'll go for 1,000 likes. It takes 2 seconds, and be sure to subscribe as well. Hit that subscribe button so you see more Premier League content. And without further ado, let's talk about it. Ben, we need to talk about this race for Europe. It's wide open. I can't believe it. I mean, we're at this stage of the season and there's still so many teams that could finish in that top 4, top 5. And another thing I'll mention, Ben, is I think at this point it's looking very likely that 5th is going to get Champions League based on how the English teams are performing in Europe this season. That's going to be credited to the English League, and we'll get an extra Champions League place, which opens the door. And look at the teams that are involved in this race, Ben. It's like a packet of Revels. You're not sure what you're going to get here. You've got some teams that you'd expect to be up there, but because of the underperformance of Manchester United and Tottenham, it's really opens the door for overperforming teams that have come up from the Championship or been in the Premier League for just a couple of years. And I really don't know where to start with this. I think what we can establish, Ben, is Liverpool and Arsenal are in a title race. If that is still on, I'm not sure. But I mean, Liverpool have got their own fixtures that are difficult, and if they slip up, Arsenal might pursue them.
I will say, Matt, just quickly, Liverpool yesterday looked like a team that were heavy title favourites. You know, when the games start to get hard, and even beating Wolves, who are down in the bottom 4. You know what it's like in promotion teams. Like we've studied in the EFL, and Daniel Farker saying it last year. Winning in the last 6 games is so hard. They did have that look about them yesterday, but that may mean nothing.
They have got some interesting games coming, Ben. If I just pick them up, obviously they're still playing in the Champions League and got the Carabao Cup final coming, but they've got Villa, Man City and Newcastle in the next 3, which should make things interesting. But yeah, Liverpool and Arsenal, will park them to the side. It's from Nottingham Forest down to, well, I don't know where, Ben. Maybe Aston Villa or Brighton. Are Brentford out of it? Maybe. Depends if you're looking at the Europa League battle, which might be 6th and 7th places. We'll start with Nottingham Forest then, Ben, because Nottingham Forest, I was daring to fantasise that they're in the title race a few weeks ago when they had that home game against Liverpool. The form has obviously wobbled. 2 wins in 5 isn't title form, but let's be honest, top 5 would be an incredible achievement for Forest, and it's looking very likely. But they lost to Fulham, and Fulham are another team in this mix, Ben. So has the door opened up for anyone to get in there? I mean, Man City, are they back on their feet? Newcastle United obviously lost to them 4-0. I'm struggling to pick teams that are going to finish 3rd, 4th and 5th, Ben. I'm leaning towards Forest. I'm leaning towards Man City, and I really don't know. I mean, Bournemouth, consistent. We touched on them beating Southampton earlier. Well, what's your take on this race for Europe, Ben? Could we have 2 or even 3 surprise packages in there?
I don't want to rain on your strawberries here, Matt, but we're talking after Newcastle have lost 3 in 4 and Chelsea have lost 2 in 3 as well. So we have to factor in that we might, if you're tracking the rolling points per game, that probably both of those clubs are at a lowish point that's going to go up towards the end of the season. However, you know, Forest have got that 4-point advantage. Forest got a 6-point advantage over Newcastle with 13 games to play. They need to stop losing away games, obviously. And it was maybe we can just put that Bournemouth 5-0 in the outlier pot for Forest, because obviously you were present as they bounced back and won 7-0, didn't they? But, you know, you get to the point where you're Forest, and they are having an amazing season, but where you're going to Fulham and it's like, well, okay, this is a game, you know, you probably need to leverage and get something from, even if it's a draw. Because I think they lost I think Fulham might be Forest's kryptonite this season. I think they might have beaten them twice. So it's difficult to imagine that one or other, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, you would say are the established order. I know Villa are one of our EFL alumni as such, but, you know, they're a kind of fake EFL alumni because it's such a big club over such a long time. So when you're talking about 2 or 3, I struggle to get past 2. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do. I think Forest, are in such a good position now, as you say, 6 points ahead of Newcastle. And the reason this is getting quite exciting now, Ben, is the games are starting to run out. You know, we're 2/3 of the way through the season now, 65% of the way through. So these teams are here for a reason. Even if Nottingham Forest win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, that might still ride them out into about 4th or 5th place. I know it's not quite the standards they have been setting in the earlier part of the season, but dreadful against Bournemouth, battered 5-0. Nuno got the reaction. They beat Brighton 7-0. Lost to Fulham. I would say they were quite well beaten. I think Fulham played very well, and Fulham are another team in this discussion. But with Nuno being such a good manager, I think he'll get a reaction from Forest, and they might bounce back in the next game. So I could see them being a bit spotty, winning, losing, and that might just hold them in there. I do think Man City are starting to find their feet again, and they'll at least think they've got to make sure they finish top 5. The title's gone for them, but if they can maybe win a cup and secure top 5, that'll be them salvaging their season. The thing is, Ben, AFC Bournemouth, they're 5 points clear of Villa. They're in a stronger position, surely. I mean, Bournemouth are bashing out a lot of points. Villa dropping points where you'd least expect, and then also you've got to factor in Villa still going in the Champions League. I mean, do you see Villa overtaking Bournemouth here, Ben?
So it's interesting you mentioned cups, because Villa have struggled to manage the balance between Champions League and Premier League. I would also throw in the FA Cup as it pertains to Nottingham Forest as well, because surely if you're having such a great season and you're Forest, and I said to you, you're going to completely fall off a cliff in the Premier League, you're going to finish 7th. But I guarantee you're in the FA Cup final, and you got one game for a trophy, and you got a trip to Wembley. You and I were both there last time Forest were at Wembley, and we saw the sea of red. Well, you were in it, weren't you? I was in the Huddersfield end, actually. So I was in the Huddersfield end as well. You in the Huddersfield end as well. You saw it as well as I did, didn't you? But I just wonder, if I'm a Forest fan, I'm taking that deal. One game to win the FA Cup and have a major trophy. I know football's about money and Champions League and all of that now, but the trophy, and Brian Clough never even won the FA Cup with Forest, got to the final, didn't he? So I don't know whether that becomes a slight distraction as well. And someone like Bournemouth, who, Man City are going to have Europe, Chelsea are going to have Europe, although Chelsea changed their entire team and play every Thursday, don't they? So maybe it's, although you're still taking all the staff out and planning and travelling and logistics and all of that once every midweek, and you'd assume Chelsea will get right to the end in that. So, yeah, maybe that looks nice for Bournemouth if they're just going to play once a week. And also the thing with Bournemouth, they've had bad injuries. So each and every week, there's going to be someone coming back out into team training onto the grass. That's going to be a bonus for them. So I don't know. What's your take? Did you disagree about my FA Cup argument? You'd rather be Champions League football in 2025?
It's difficult, isn't it? And maybe we should put it to the Forest fans in the comments. I think the position they're in now, Ben, if they don't finish top 5, they'd see it as quite, I don't know, is it an underperformance? It'd be quite the fall off, I guess. But one
game from a trophy, Matt.
Oh, yeah. It's a good question. We'll put it to the Forest fans. We'll see what they have to say on that. But do you know what? It's a really good point you mentioned the FA Cup, because we don't touch on it much. But
of course, Ipswich are going to beat Forest in the next round, so it's all irrelevant.
That's it. But with Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, I think Spurs all eliminated, the FA Cup's really open this year. I mean, Bournemouth, they've got Wolves at home. Bournemouth could maybe fancy their chances at getting to a final, depending on how the draw plays
out. That's a good point. If I'm rolling that argument out for Forest, I've got to roll out for Bournemouth as well then.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting. I mean, we could find that this European race goes right to the wire, but maybe one of them gets quite far in the FA Cup and possibly drops away. But it could also keep the momentum going. The final conclusion on this, Ben, is it's wide open, and I'm fascinated to see how it goes, because you've got the teams you'd expect to be there playing catch-up at the minute. Villa, Brighton, I guess, and Newcastle and Chelsea both outside the top 5. Fulham are right in the mix as well. So it's wide open, isn't it? I mean, be difficult to guess. I mean, I suppose you'd put Man City in there just given the power that they've got. But we'll have to track this until the end of the season.
Can I throw this in there as my worst case scenario? And there's no offence to any of these sides because they're all great clubs. Can you imagine the top 4 is Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, and Chelsea, and then Man City win the FA Cup. How boring would that be?
Oh dear. Yeah. You could see it going
You could see that happening though, couldn't you?
Oh, don't, Ben, don't. But like I say, I think given how open it's been so far this season and knowing that we should get a 5th Champions League place, surely, as a minimum, we should at least get one team in there that we didn't expect. And then we're not even mentioning the Europa League. We might get 1 or 2 surprise teams end up there. So I'll put that to the viewers. Who's going to finish in the European places? Let us know in the comments.